Hey everybody, it's Nick from Hotspawn, and I am here with the commish himself, none other than MarkZ. We'll start out with the important, hard-hitting questions. On FlyQuest's last series, I did the press play test right beforehand, where you make sure all of the machines are working. I went 5-1 and 14 on Sejuani in Inspired's chair, and then he went 5-0 and 15 minutes later.
So he had to one-up you?
Yeah, my question is, did I bless Inspired so that the first Sejuani game went well, or did I curse his chair so that he could only do well on Sejuani? I figure, blame game with MarkZ.
No, I definitely think you helped because he played 4 pretty inhuman level games in a row. It wasn't just the Sejuani. His Trundle was pretty gross as well. So, I think
I'm innocent?
Yeah, I think you're innocent.
Okay.
He was insane for 4 games. In the league game, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't that bad either, so I don't think it was you.
I don't feel like the Lee Sin was the problem in that game, on a draft level.
Plenty of other things were going wrong, exactly.
Yeah. All right, perfect. We'll step into the next one, which is rewinding to last year. There's the LTA announcement video, and you make the mention, we're looking at Fearless. At the time, big Fearless fan, so I spent basically the whole year asking every pro I could get my hands on, do you want to play Fearless? How do you think it would go?
Yep.
It's here. We'll start with how, from the start of the year when you said it's a thing we could look at to now, it's the format for LoL esports. What has that journey been like, and how are you sitting on Fearless coming out of what I think is the best international ever?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people have that kind of opinion that this feels like one of the best, both the number of best of 5s and the Fearless, and the fact that the games can feel so fresh because of that. And I definitely think, I don't know if you remember, I did an interview near the start. I can't remember who it was with, but I was like, Fearless believer, but skeptic at the same time. We're happy to try it, but I was like, I definitely want to see the best players on their best champs game 5.
I was the exact same.
Yeah,
I wrote a whole thing that was like, if Fearless is around, there's no Crown picks Malzahar 3 games in a row and just ruins the SKT dynasty. There's no Fakers Galio 5 games in a row.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I was talking to someone about Zeka, for example, where he got to play this kind of Akali Silas, and I forget what his third one was. Might have been in Azir or something. But he had his pool, and he could just run the tournament with that, and that's just not really possible anymore because otherwise, I think FlyQuest just slams those champs that were working for them, and they don't get into that game 5 draft that we were kind of joking about a little bit. But so on the one hand, it changes how the game is played, and I think it's for the most part been good. I wish I could be I'm a Fearless believer too community, but I think there has been this kind of undercurrent conversation going on around game 5s in particular, and that was exactly what I was kind of concerned about. Was some of these get a little messy, and clearly Quad shouldn't be playing Zillion. I think there's a fair argument made by some fans, which is people will adapt and they'll get better about making sure they're 6th, 7th, 8th. And I think Quad's case, because of the bans, it was his 16th champion or something that he had to play.
Crazy.
It's at that point you can't scrim your 16th champion and realistically think that's good practice.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see how people are going to adapt from here. I do feel still a little bit there's been a lot of Game 5 stomps. I saw another graphic that was going around showing Game 5 stomps in previous tournaments that didn't have Fearless. So I'm not 100% sold. I think for the most part, vast majority of the case, Fearless does feel like an improvement. The Game 5s, I wonder, is it maybe there should be a reset in Game 5 and then people can play their best champs again or something?
Sure.
I do think there's something. If this stays the final version, I think fans will be very happy. I'll be very happy. If there's an improvement, maybe they'll get explored in future, lower stakes tournaments and then bubble up, kind of just like Fearless did this time around. But I think overall, to pack the answer together, the right direction for sure. Would love to see if there's any other refinements.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the numbers, but my gut reaction would be there's probably more stompy game 5s, but I feel like there were more series. Now, we had way less best 5s in any turn, but I feel like there's less series that would have gone to a game 5. Yeah. Because you can just be hey, we're T1, deal with Zeus's Rumble all of Worlds last year in every draft, or and in every game. And so, noting on one thing that you said there, which is Fearless could move in a new direction. I'm thinking back to 2020, 2021. First time I hear about Fearless is for the Solari tournament. It's a French content creator thing. LS gets involved, starts doing the drafts, and that's where I pick it up. So I've spoken to Mr. Nick DeCesare, and
are you about to talk to me about what's it called?
Ironman, exactly. So LS, in many ways, sort of the father of Fearless in the popular culture of League. I've spoken to him, and he says Fearless doesn't go far enough, which was funny because, I was watching content before. He thought we were going to do the half Fearless from NHL, where you couldn't replay your own champ, but you could play somebody else's. He just didn't think that went far enough. Then we went farther, and now he doesn't think this goes far enough. Obviously, I'm not asking the commish to be here's our official stance. As a league personality, as a league coach, as somebody who's worked in it, what does the idea, unlikely as it seems to me, of taking the persistent bans effect of Fearless and applying that to the actual bans game to game, because that is another 5 each, so 50 over the course of 5 games would be 50 champions removed from the game on top of Fearless.
I think it's probably a little bit too far. Again,
too far for 180 champs.
This is coming from me as someone who even right now I'm like, some of these game 5s, I don't know if I'm like, I love that, like I definitely, I still think I'm again, more or less a fan of it, but I think the other thing is like legitimately champ pools of some classes are less diverse, and I know
ADCs come up a lot.
ADCs come up a lot, and I think, again, there's always the claim that like, we'll play Swain bot, play Bram bot, the
Heimerdinger bot, baby.
Yeah, you can always find other things that can slot in.
But is that a good viewership experience?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. It's like, I don't know if I want to watch that. I do like watching when I see a player do something I didn't know was possible on a champion, or that they are playing it at a higher level than I could ever imagine. Just seeing them pilot it, you can sometimes really just appreciate that. And I definitely don't think that's the case if you're like, you would be first timing things on stage. For sure. At that point, 50 champs in, So that, like, I think
50 more champs in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, you yourself are like on your 25th champion. Like, you probably played it in ARAMs or something, but you're really not. You don't have the mastery on it. And I think mastery is a part, as well as diversity. Is like, I think there's a balance between the two that we want to see, and I think Fearless is pretty close to that, honestly.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. But as somebody who showed Fearless all of last year, I felt like
now you got to push it further.
Yeah. I got to see how far I can roll the ball. So the next question, this is just something I've been like connecting with other pro players and people about. And I mean, you sort of mentioned there is like, you'd have played this champion ARAM. I've been connecting with like the MKOI players, love all the stuff that's not Summoner's Rift. Mirwin did not do any solo queue when Swarm came out. El Yoya and Mirwin pretty much haven't done solo queue while they're here, and just duo with Arena to tilt their coaches, who also are playing a lot of Arena. Jojo plays a lot of ARAM. Do you have any like, obviously we've got the new Brawl mode, new ARAM stuff. Are you an enjoyer of any of the non-Summoner's Rift stuff? Did you like Demon's Hand? Just like any of the sort of like additional ways to play and enjoy League that, even as the commissioner of the LTA North, isn't competitive?
Yeah, I play everything that they put into the client.
Hell yeah.
So some of those I play more than others. Like, I did one run through Demon's Hand, got the lore, kind of was like, I don't know what's going on, and like didn't open it up a ton.
Those are some sweet lore reveals, man. You gotta get in there.
Nah, it just goes right over my head. I'm like, huh? Slam the next game.
Yeah.
Like Swarm, I played a ton though because I like Survivor games. Yep. So like, it depends kind of what the mode is. I tried a bunch of Brawl. I liked it a lot. I found that I got triggered though because it wasn't just like fighting like an ARAM. Like, I was like doing objectives, and like, you're playing with people who are like lock screen, clearly not come to the buff. It actually matters in this mode. So like, I was like, I still have to strategize a little bit more than a brain off ARAM. So I actually found, like, just for how I play the game, like ARAM's a better brain off, like late night degen kind of game. So I played a fair amount of Brawl, but then I went back to ARAM. Arena, it's like too far actually from the core game experience. So I don't actually mess around with Arena too much, but I try every new version. All this is to say, I just love ARAM, I guess, but I'll try anything.
I know, I heard from Faker himself that he was like, Arena's good for like practicing your reactions, just like kind of just like fighting, figuring out reacting quickly.
It's so funny because I definitely think this version of Arena taps into something. For sure, I've heard the devs kind of talk about like the play rate is really good, and that's why I brought it back on the latest version, and I just see it around the LTA all the time. Like, pros are just playing that Arena, for their warm-ups. So like, clearly it's doing something super right, and that's really cool.
Awesome. Next question's equally nonsense as the last, but I love asking it to pro players and pro affiliated people. I mean, I listened to Hot League back in the day. I'm aware you are a TV, movie, book lover. You love some narratives. So what I ask everybody is, let's say you finish this Arena, Ryan and Fortiche, they come in and they're like, Mark, we've lost all of our stuff for Series 2 of the Fortiche show. It's gone. You're the new EP. You get to decide what champ gets their own 2-season show, what region of the world gets a highlight. And again, this is Mark the fan, not Mark the commish. Like, what would fill the like League fan in you with joy? What champ would you love to see get their own like long form narrative show?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
It's funny you use Fortiche because I would do like I do a reality TV show. Like, I've been like watching way too much Love Island because my wife got into it again. But I always watch Survivor and all that stuff. So I'd be like, if you gave me like in charge of the entertainment side, I'm doing a reality show. I'm not even, I'm just, thanks Fortiche. Whatever you guys want to do, you can take the ball back in that court. I'm going to go
So is this like pro players try to touch grass?
So the two things I have I think would actually work, and it's funny because they're both Korean programs, is Culinary Class War and Physical 100. I think they do an incredible job of like framing stories and narratives that tap into real world while also creating competition around it.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched them, they're so good. You could absolutely do that with League, and that's what I would do. If you gave me the budget and the time, well, pro players, solo queue players, random people, off the ladder, content creators, you get them all for a week in a row.
Off the ladder, that's a dangerous one.
Well, that's what makes it work in those things. It's like, this guy's an Olympic gold medalist, and this guy does parkour on the streets. Like have him compete. Let's see what happens. It's really cool.
That sounds great to me. The other question that I've been asking people is, obviously there's the sign right over there. Riot's doing this really cool new like integrated season things, which I think is working really well in that the competitive season has a visual aesthetic and a theme. The champions that are coming out during that time are focused on the story. There's mini games and all of that. But in particular, there is the Summoner's Rift remake every season. And Riot has said, well, for now we're moving through regions of the world. Eventually we're likely to get things that are based on non-canon skin lines, Project High Noon.
Yep.
What is, just to you, a cool aesthetic that you could see like taking over Summoner's Rift? What would be fun to walk around in? I know I was talking to Supa and he said Project would be sick if the walls were like buildings. It was like a cyberpunk kind of Summoner's Rift. And you can just aim high here.
Yeah, I think I actually really like Spirit Blossom. I definitely like the kind of like
it looks great.
Landscape and floral kind of aesthetic. Like I very much in nature. Like that's kind of what I gravitate towards. In terms of other settings, I think it's a pretty easy layup to do like either an Odyssey or a Project to like go super far in the other direction.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm actually not very good on
That's
on creative direction. I already kind of like that, so yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, totally. Sounds awesome. Okay, here comes the one sort of on topic, slightly more hard-hitting question.
Hit me.
A lot of discussion about the way that slots work for MSI. In that start of the year, it's announced that LTA North and LTA Seoul are going to be two conferences of one league. Our first inter-conference event, I think, was not necessarily the most satisfying for either team. LTA North players had to go down to Mexico City to play semifinals and onwards in the LTA Seoul studio, or like in the when we went to
Sao Paulo, Brazil. But
Sao Paulo. My bad.
Yep.
But the LTA North are the only ones that make top four, and then LTA Seoul has to watch their four native teams get essentially kicked out of the studio and watch us play there. And then this split, there's no interaction. Both go together, and there's no opportunity for, as the discourse is about, like C9, who looked so good in playoffs, having any chance to prove themselves on the competitive stage. Not to say that you have to like reveal the full behind the scenes workings of what's going on or what you guys are considering for possible future, but if you could just talk about the way that you see the community discussion and the way that slots work for this MSI, and just sort of address, because there are fans who feel like their region lost an opportunity to show itself on the international stage, which with such an event that's been so hyped, best of 5 fearless, I can totally understand people being like, I really would have liked to see that. And we'd have gotten another Canadian in Vulcan here, so I'm a little bit biased towards it. But yeah, let me know just why slots are the way they are, and the way you guys view some of the fan response around LTA North and LTA Seoul feeling kind of separate during the split.
Well, obviously, as also NA homer, I would have loved to have had C9 in play-ins and kicked G2 out. I think given the closeness of FlyQuest and C9, and then C9, and then seeing Fly versus G2, you're like, C9 would have crushed them. So that part of me is very much as just the NA fan, also feels that kind of like, I wish C9 was here. But in terms of the slot allocation and these sorts of things, given the amount of slots that we have and the importance of having regional representation, I think this is the argument that we always come back to, or the discussion is like, there's obviously a desire to have the best teams available representing, and there's also a desire to have everyone be able to participate in these sorts of international events, because it's really important for each of those regions. So I'm sure for Brazilian fans, Furia challenging G2 and actually having that chance, like that would have been insane if they actually took down G2.
I'm a new Furia fan after that series.
So that's a really important thing for that community. And C9 versus Furia, if they played for the slot, what would happen? And you would assume maybe that you would not have any Brazilian representation then on the international stage. So I do think this is the same thing with the world slot discussion.
This feels bad no matter which way you go.
Well, yeah, but I don't even just mean between the North. It's just like people are like, well, the 4th seed from LPL and LCK almost always outperform the number 1 seed from NA. So why are they there? You can always talk about like who deserves the slot, and there's always a representation versus skill level discussion. And in this case, we lean towards making sure that Brazil and the South, LATAM South potentially could have some representation here. And it's something we'll always look at, and we're going to listen to fans. And for 2026, no plans to announce yet, but we'll always be trying to figure out what we can do to make every fan the happiest. So definitely understand where NA fans are coming from, but I think it was also a really important moment for the Brazil community.
Sweet. Lightning fast, last question. Sanderson fan, correct?
Yes.
What do you think of Wind and Truth? How do you feel that one landed? Because to me, I love what's going on in the Cosmere. It felt a little bit like some of those MCU movies that are linking together the next movie, like the next big movie and the one behind it. I enjoyed it, but I felt like some of the writing was a little inconsistent in places. Still adore the Stormlight, but yeah. Where does it land for you?
I would say Travis and I recorded our book review, and it's like an hour and a half long.
I haven't had the chance to watch it yet.
That'll be my full take, but I'll say, kind of for me it was a little mid. I like the high level vision of what it was and the beats and where things landed and the lore and the kind of break point that it ended at before the second half of the Stormlight books.
Yeah.
I think some of the moment to moment stuff and the dialogue and the themes started
getting between these moments.
I thought that's where it's kind of weak.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much. That's been the commission, everybody.
Cool.
Cheers, man. Have a lovely one and enjoy the finals.
Thank you.